flowers at the scene of a terrible tragedy. Today, at the opening of an inquest, the driver of the car which crashed into Stephen and Catherine Birch in Beaumaris was named as 81-year-old Humphrey Pickering from Colwyn Bay. The car Mr. Pickering was driving collided with Mr. and Mrs. Birch and then a house. The hearing in Carnarvon, which lasted just a few minutes, heard that Mr. and Mrs. Birch, a vicar and charity worker, were both retired. They were pronounced dead at the scene by paramedics here on Alma Street following the collision last Wednesday afternoon. The senior coroner for North West Wales, Kate Robertson, passed on her condolences to the family and friends of those who died. She also acknowledged what she described as the significant efforts made by members of the public and the emergency services at the scene. Friends of the couple, Neil and Rosemary Genders from Ulster in Warwickshire, where Mr. and Mrs. Birch also lived, today travelled to Beaumaris to try and understand more of what had happened.
It was a shock to everybody in the area, and particularly to ourselves who worked with Steve and Kathy on a course that they'd run at the church, at the local church. But you can imagine the shock that was here in Beaumaris. Well, it was very similar in Ulster when we had the news there without any details. We had quite a service in the church on Sunday, but of course there was no information. And we don't want to speculate on what may have happened. Yeah. So it's helped us greatly to meet the local policeman and have the area explained.
The provisional cause of death for Mr. and Mrs. Birch was given as multiple injuries. The provisional cause of death for Mr. Pickering was chest injuries. The coroner said that investigations were continuing, and so she'd be adjourning the inquest to allow those investigations to continue. Ian Lang, ITV News, Beaumaris.